Hi there. So nice to be back with you this week, especially after last week that we spoke about being the best. Have you thought about a lot of that? Because I even started thinking about it a lot more again. How do we live in that optimum zone and how are we the best? But the thing is, and that's why I want to get into something similar this week, because I can just hear people asking, so how do I do that? How do I go and I do live this optimum life? It sounds so easy, but there are things holding me back and I really don't feel like it. Am I right? I'm sure I'm talking to a couple of people that would say to me, yeah, Mishka, you don't understand. How can I be the best? I don't have a car. I don't have the money. I've got a difficult husband or a difficult wife, or I've got parents that are making life difficult for me, or whatever. I don't have a job. There's so many things. Maybe you've just gone through a traumatic divorce. Perhaps you've just gone through losing a business, going into bankruptcy. Oh, so many things in life that happens. So you see, it's once again a factor of perspective, because all of us have something to deal with. Now I'm going to give you a little bit of good news, because there has to be an opposite force actually to make it happen. And you say, what on earth is she talking about? You see, once I have never done this. I'm sure maybe some of you have done this, but they tell me, and I know when we were children we used to do this, and my brothers did it, and I was always there, but I never did it myself. I never flown a kite. Have you ever done that? I've seen it. It looks so beautiful, and it looks as if they so masterfully do it. But you can't fly a kite without wind. You can't set to sail out on the seas if you've got a sailboat and there's no wind. You can't do it. You see, so there is an opposite force that is always in operation. It's so good to know it. Because if we see the opposite force as negative, it holds us back. See? So if I see gravity as negative, which we don't, because thank goodness we're not floating around here. But if I stand on a 10-story building and I jump down, then that's a negative thing, but it's a choice I made. That gravity pulls me, you see. So there are things that are there, and it's natural. There's not one person that can listen to me today that can say everything in my life is just totally perfect, because that doesn't happen. It would be like abnormal. But it's almost like living in seasons. You may feel it's perfect because you're a positive person, your outlook is positive, and you think, oh man, I'm just in the best place that I've ever been in. But all of us are going through certain things. All of us have to wake up in the morning. All of us are going to have a difficult boss at some time. All of us are going to have situations that we need to deal with. Now, it is not about the situation. If you start to see the situation as an opportunity, you see that is where the difference comes. That is when the workout comes. It is when somebody knows, say, let's go back to the gym scenario, and somebody wants to do weight training or whatever. So the weight's lying there and you pick it up. That's just a choice that you're exercising, you see. You pick it up. Nobody forced it into your hand. So it's a choice that you take it up and you start to exercise. What are you doing? It's an opposite force. That opposite force is necessary for the muscle to go into its optimum peak performance. The muscle won't go there unless it's exposed to this opposite force. So why do that? Why do something that takes you out of your comfort zone? So I want to say to you, I'm so very happy if you just told me, but I've got this thing and I've got this problem and this is happening and this is happening and that's happening, because it's a very good thing. Otherwise, it would have I would have been speaking to totally abnormal people. It's how we think about that, and I'd like to encourage you to change your thinking. Don't run away, run to. Make sure you don't get involved in something that's destructive, something that can harm you, because that's just silly. And so make a good choice and say, I just don't want to be here. I'm not encouraging you to do anything that's not good. I'm talking about those factors in life. It's always going to be there. Those things that makes you feel it's holding you back. It's like chains around you, or it's like heavy. And you just can't go forward. You really want to go into your optimum zone, but you just can't get there. Something always happens. And then we say it. We talk to all our friends and we say, my life, it's a mess. You need to stop that. Because you can change your life. It's nobody else should have the right to manage our lives. We have all got the right to think right. Nobody can force us to think their way. I don't care in what difficult situation somebody is. It is a choice. How am I going to spend the 24 hours I have today? It's a choice. How am I going to think? It's a choice. What am I going to say? It's a choice whether I'm going to overcome or not. Doesn't matter what the circumstances are. But if we do not acknowledge those difficulties as actually part of it, you see, then we lose it. So if I decide that I don't want to take up the weights, it's my choice. If I decide I don't want to run, if I decide I don't want to exercise, it's a choice. Of course it's a choice. It's my choice. But it can have an effect on my body. Can you see? It's a choice. Sometimes we don't have choices, and we are put in situations where we've just got to make it happen. It's just got to go. We've got to go for it. And I encourage you, think about those things in life as your opportunities. Think about what's holding you back today as the opportunity to get you going. Think about, I can't go forward. I'm battling. I've got this problem. I want to really be successful, but I can't. Perhaps you feel like you can't speak well to people, or you can't make sales, or you're not successful in your job. Take that thing and say, I want to look at you and think, what am I going to do with you to change and give me the opportunity to go into my optimum zone and to become the best? Now, that's a tough one. That's a tough one, because when we are in situations where we sometimes deal with difficult people, let's take that one, very difficult. Say we're working in an environment that's difficult, and I don't know, colleagues and whatever, things are not going right. And that's a difficult situation, and it always comes in, you see, to take our confidence. And once again, what do we do with it? It's not a thing that's happening. Those things are going to happen. But what are we going to see it as an opportunity to change and become better? Or are we going to see it as too big and I'm just going to give up? I always like using examples of my most difficult clients. That's actually been my best, possibly my best benefit in my life. And it is a mindset, you see. When a client's difficult, people want to run away from it. Say, Michelle, you just handle it. I love it. Because if that person is just know what they want, they are only going to shape me. Only. If they tell me, I want you to be better, and what you're doing is not good enough, I am telling you today, the first thing I say is, what can I change? I'd like to become better, because you're now giving me an opportunity to be different tomorrow. It's not always the best thing to tell people that they are perfect sometimes we need to say to them, you know what? I honestly think you can go a little bit better, shape up. We should learn how to deal with these things, how to embrace these things that are negative. Because they're not really negative. They look negative. And we've been told they're negative. But they're really not negative. Trust me. If your mindset starts to change and you see those people that are difficult as actually, you're giving me an opportunity. Because what are they seeing that I'm not seeing? That person may be seeing something beautiful, and if I get offended because they are telling me to be better, and all I see is my offense, and I'm so upset, and I feel so rejected, and I never want to live anymore, and all those negative things, we're missing the point. That person might have been sent into your day to day to shape you for the next place you've got to go to. That person might be the weight that you've got to take to get the muscles beautiful. And when we get the muscles beautiful, something else happens. You see, we just want to get into shape. So what is happening? There are repetitive patterns come into our lives. And we do it. I mean, I'm talking out of experience. That's why I can speak to you today. Thank goodness. Been there, done that, worn a t-shirt. I still wear them oftentimes, and things happen, and I don't want to really admit that the only responsibility that I have in any situation is, what do I do with it? What is that person going to change in me? You may say, but it's unfair. I'm being treated unfairly. Everybody else is treated differently from me. Really? Maybe that means that you are unique. Maybe, why do we see it as it's unfair? Perhaps that's just the one thing that we need to shape that part of us, that we are different from the person next to us. So it's a mindset that we have to see that when the difficulties come, they're not always difficulties. They're literally there to shape us for the next place that we've got to go to. They're literally there to get us into our optimum zone. Very often, people who have absolutely no concerns, they've got no uncomfortable places in their lives, they're living in a comfort zone and they're doing as little as possible. They very, very often aren't the people that will ever impact the world. They're not the people that are going to come out and do that new thing. And how many people have gone through trauma, and today they can talk about it and can encourage other people? How many songs have been written from a point of absolute heartache and despair? How many beautiful things have happened because somebody was broken for a little while? So you see, do we see the brokenness? Do we think we're going to be broken for the rest of our lives? Or was that brokenness necessary so that somebody else can listen to it and get the healing? You see, nothing is permanent in that regard. Life changes all the time, and that's an amazing thing about it. So just as you've got that difficulty today, rather get on with it and learn and say, maybe I should change something. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's not really that person. Rejection. It's something that people don't deal with easily, you see, because somebody rejects me. It's a horrible thing. It's terrible. Rejection is one of those things that makes people feel helpless, because you want to be accepted. There's nobody on the face of the earth that wants to be rejected. That's just it. I don't think there's anybody walking around. Maybe there are, but I mean, really, we want to know deep down inside that somebody just loves us. But I think sometimes we need to understand that people don't always have to love us exactly for who we are. Sometimes a person that's willing to bring out something inside of us might be the one that rejects us today. Not because they're rejecting us, but because it's not right. Because what they do should be an indication for me. Something is not right. Maybe I should shift. Maybe I should change. Maybe I should do something. That's not them. Rejection is one of the most natural things, but we've made it something major. We've made it such a big problem that people can't live with themselves anymore because we've got no self-image, there's no confidence. You see, because rejection, if we go back to that which is inside of me, that can never be rejected. It's perfect. But if we take a little plant and we plant it in the wrong soil and it dies, we can't say, oh my goodness, shame, poor plant. It's stupid. You've put it in the wrong soil. Put it in the right soil. It's going to rise and flourish. Sometimes we force situations. We want to be there. And maybe it's not where you should be. And people reject us. And we think, oh my goodness, that person is horrible and you hate them and whatever. And we feel terrible about ourselves. Not understanding that rejection is a natural process. Because very often we shouldn't be there. That's actually how babies are being born. Because the baby and the mother, that's a beautiful comfort zone, you know. Little baby inside the mother and growing. Now, can you imagine that baby stays there over its time, you know? It goes on over time. It's getting bigger and bigger. Now, there are mothers out there that listen to me now and they can know, yeah, please, there's this time when you carry that baby that you want to say, just get out of here. I just don't want you in my body anymore. And the baby says, oh, I don't want to be here. This space is too small. What are we talking? We're talking rejection because the one is starting to reject the other. Can you see how natural it is? Not because there's something wrong with the baby or the mother. It just means there's growth. Sometimes we've just outgrown situations and we think, oh my goodness, people have rejected me. It's not rejection, it's just normal. You know, you just got to go into a certain other place because that's just the way life is. Everything changes and everything grows. And with growth, dynamics come. With growth, beauty comes. With growth, there is just so much that happens. Can you see? So we have a choice to take that act that somebody may have rejected us and say, this thing, somewhere in this, there must be a reason, because what do I have to get back to into my optimum zone, being the best? Now, sometimes even I spoke about clients who could be critical and they can criticize us, and people that can say things. Now, I'm really, really not saying that we should ever associate ourselves with people that are just mean and abusive. Please, that never, if you ever listen to me, that will be anything that I would advocate. I think that is something you just need to deal with and get out of your life. And that's not what we want. I'm not talking about abuse, because knowing who you are, you can immediately say, you need to understand who you're talking to. I know the I am inside of me. I will not allow that. So there's a difference between abuse. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about situations that are just normal. And that people say something and we sometimes we take it so serious and it holds us back. It stops us from flying. It stops us from going into that optimum zone. Because we don't see them as opportunities. We don't see that what they do might just be sort of a message to me to say, shape up, because something is going to happen. Perhaps that person is the one that you need to shape something in your life so that when that opportunity comes tomorrow, you're ready. You see, sometimes we are so bogged down with, why did that person say that? Why did they do that? Oh, why this, that we miss the opportunity. It's not about that person. It's about who we are. It's about the I am. It's about how am I going to get into shape. That person might just be saying something because tomorrow your biggest opportunity of your life is going to land in your lap. But you're going to have to be able to deal with that situation. You're going to have to be able to fly in that situation. You're going to have to be able to stretch yourself. You're going to have to be able to be that person that can get out of a comfort zone, that can deal with difficult people. And if you can't deal with it now, how are we going to get into that opportunity? The opportunity is not going to come. So I want to encourage you. Things are not always right in life, and they don't have to be. And it's fine. Look rather for the opportunity in those things that go wrong and say, this is maybe the weight I need to pick up for my training today. Maybe get it over and done with. I've got to do it sometime. And that is when things start to reoccur, you see. Things do reoccur. And it's because there's something that needs to happen. We've got to get to the best. If you want to become the best, we've got to make a choice. And we got to understand. We're going to have to exercise. We're going to have to go. We've got to deal with that situation, because that is what's needed for the optimum. So once again, somebody else can get into their optimum zone because you and I had the courage to do so. Well, my time is up for today. And until next week, we'll chat again from Mishka. Goodbye.